My friends, Five Nights at Freddy's has now arrived in theaters, and it seems to me that a lot of people are wrong about this movie. Since its release, critics have been putting this one down, and after watching it, I'm just a bit confused. I mean, how could you hate on these guys? So, what's up everybody? Happy Halloween, and welcome back to Jones Vibes. Hit the like button if animatronic characters scare you, and let's dive in. So today we're talking about the new movie Five Nights at Freddy's, and I do want to let you know that this is mainly going to be a spoiler-free review. I might get into a couple spoilers later, but I'll be sure to warn you before I do. But the synopsis for the movie reads, a troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realizes that the night shift won't be so easy to get through. Pretty soon, he will unveil what actually happened at Freddy's. And like I said off the top, this movie surprised me. It really did. It's another one of those films that's just been berated with bad reviews, and the negative score on Rotten Tomatoes has really been highlighted on Twitter and on social media. Sometimes it can feel hard before going into a movie to like block out the noise, and this was definitely a tough one, but you know, for me, I typically just try to go in with as open of a mind as possible. And I managed to do so, and you know, my experience might be a little bit different than others. I do want to preface this with the fact that I've never played the games, and apparently they're really popular, and so maybe that's why some people don't like it, because I don't know, like the lore could have been switched or something, but I didn't know about any of that. So the only real connection I have to this movie is that when I was younger, I had several birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese, and the animatronic characters always scared the hell out of me, so it's weird, man. There's just something so aesthetically strange about these giant animal robots that robotically play instruments and sing, and then when they're done, like, the curtain closes, but you know that they're still back there. It's always something that I thought about. Like, you know that when you leave, those things are still just there. Like, at night, they're just there alone. And I've actually had a lot of excitement for this movie just purely because of that premise. Turning that childhood experience into a horror nightmare. And obviously, if you do that, it's going to be over the top, and it's going to be cheesy, and the plot's going to be all over the place, because that's what it's supposed to be. You shouldn't be expecting David Fincher's Seven here, you know what I mean? That's what I really enjoyed about it. I found myself just having a really great time and laughing at the absurdity of it all. I want to say that I thought that Josh Hutcherson was excellent in this role, and if you're looking for depth, I feel like he definitely gave that. It's certainly been a minute since I've seen him in anything. Probably since Hunger Games, shout out PETA. But he plays this guy who's very down on his luck. Like, he's looking after his little sister Abby on his own, and he's also been through some trauma regarding his family's past and an experience that he had with his little brother, and so there's a lot to sort of dig into there, and they do a good job of really showcasing just how much this guy is struggling. He has this obsession in returning to this reoccurring dream that he's having, and that ends up really having a big connection in the end, and so things really end up tying together, and I think they tie together more so than I thought that they were going to. It was a pleasant surprise, and there really weren't many characters that we were working with here in this movie. The other characters were pretty low-key. I thought that Elizabeth Lail as Vanessa, the cop, was good. That's honestly probably the one aspect of the plot that I could have done without. I feel like she didn't serve much purpose, or the purpose that she did serve just didn't really need to be there. However, I couldn't live without Matthew Lillard in there, and man, oh man, is it just so good to see him. Stu Macher in the flesh, ladies and gentlemen. But we get a really good look around this pizzeria, and this is where the nostalgia just kicks in, man. Like, all these games, and even the way that all the little lights and things are blinking and turning on and going crazy all around the arcade area, like, it brings back so many memories. It took me back to a simpler time. But things obviously start getting weird, and we're introduced to the starting lineup of these animatronic things. We got Freddy, we got Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, and there's actually one more. I think we'll talk about that later, though, actually, in the spoilers. But when things really get going and these things start hunting people down, I was surprised as to how much fun I was having. It's been compared to movies like Megan, and I definitely felt that. It's PG-13, so if you're expecting Saw-level violence here, like, you're not going to get that. But what you do get are a few really solid jump scares, and then just some really creative kills. There's even this little, like, cupcake guy. I don't know his name. Let me know know if you do. But yeah, this little chomper guy, he was hilarious. Like, he was all over the place, and he was freaking epic. And before I forget, I do want to say that my favorite character was Foxy. I don't know why, just something about that guy. I feel like we could be friends. But you know, there's also a paranormal side to this story. You know, these things aren't just robots. If you're familiar with the games and all that, I'm sure you already know that. They have a spirit within them, and so things do get dark, and they get pretty messed up. Mike brings his sister Abby there, and she starts to get really friendly with them, but the connection sort of smacks you in the face, and it gets really creepy. And so if you're looking for it, there is more to this story. There is more substance, but all in all, I'd say that if you haven't seen this movie and you're going into it, you don't need to go into it with like paramount expectations. That's my advice, actually. Just look at the movie poster and then base your expectations off of that. That's what the movie's gonna be. I also highly recommend seeing it with people. I'm sure it would be an amazing time in the theater. It's also streaming on Peacock, which makes it really convenient, so you could also just like relax and kick your feet up and watch this. It's a good time. It'd be a good time on like a Friday night, watch a scary movie during spooky season. Take it easy and watch your childhood nightmare when you were at Chuck E. Cheese come to life. But as always, and before I get into spoilers, I do want to give this movie my Jones Vibes star rating based purely off of my enjoyment level. And guys, I'm giving Five Nights at Freddy's 4 out of 5 stars. It's not as bad as people are saying, man. But now I will get into a couple spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie, it might be a good time for you to check out. So okay, I think that Mike's little brother being kidnapped was the thing that affected me the most in this movie. This takes place, I think, in 2000, and in the early 2000s, in the late 90s, there was just this vibe of kidnapping in the air. Honestly, like, I'll be real with you guys, one of my worst fears as a kid was being kidnapped, being taken. And it's still happening all the time, and it's just awful, man. It's just awful. But this movie ended up connecting that to these other kids who were taken. It was very Black Phone-esque, if you saw that, and I think that that could have been explored even more. Like, maybe we could see some flashbacks of Steve or Springtrap. We didn't mention him yet, but, you know, you could just kind of put the viewer more into that story, because I think that that could have developed the father-daughter stuff between Steve and Vanessa a little bit more. It could have helped add a little bit of depth there. You know, I think on Mike's side of things, they did a good job. Like, they did a good job setting all of that up. We knew what was happening over there. But yeah, they could have used a little more on the other side. But aside from that, in spoiler territory, I just want to say that my favorite kill scene was easily Max, the girl that gets cut in half or like bit in half. That was just so unexpected, and it just had me rolling. I was just like, what? But yeah, this seems like a good time to kind of wrap things up. I will turn it over to you. If you saw Five Nights at Freddy's, please let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments section. If you haven't seen it, are you excited? Are you gonna go see it? Please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Also, hit the like button if you enjoyed this review. I really appreciate that support more than you guys know. You can follow me on X and keep up with me at Jones Vibes Only. And also keep up the good vibes, guys. But that was Five Nights at Freddy's, and will there be a sequel? We're gonna have to see. Happy Halloween, everyone.